Hi, and welcome to Transmission Hour, Boston's best music. I'm your host, Tim Casey. Tonight we'll be hearing from Thea Hopkins, a singer-songwriter from across the river in Somerville, whose songs have been performed by the likes of Peter, Paul and Mary and the Prague Symphony Orchestra. We'll be talking to Thea later on in the show, but for now, let's hear some music from Thea Hopkins, assisted by Andy Hollinger.
strikes, and then it shakes the foundation. Then you wake underneath these rows and rows of stars. If every word you said was worth 50 cents, I'd have enough to pay my rent. Underneath these rows and rows of stars, before my eyes, before my eyes, before my eyes, before my eyes, eyes, eyes. Empty bottles sing tonight to old loves and midnights. Underneath these rows and rows of stars, stars, stars. I'm going home on the morning train. I'm going home on the morning train. And all my sins you carried away. Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on,
Hold on.
hold on.
Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Sister Mary wears a golden chain. Sister Mary wears a golden chain. And on each link with Jesus' name. Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on,
Hold on.
hold on.
Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on,
Hold on.
hold on.
Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Devil wears them hypocrite shoes. Devil wears them hypocrite shoes. And if he gets a chance, he's gonna slip them little shoes on you. Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on,
Hold on.
hold on.
Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on,
Put your hands on this plow. Hold on. River Jordan chillin' wide. River Jordan chillin' wide. But I got a home way there on the other side. Put your hand
Well, thank you for coming, Thea. That was a great show we recorded there, and you did. It was a great performance. I loved editing it.
Oh, thank you. I had a wonderful time.
Oh yeah, and I fell in love with a lot of those songs.
Well, thank you, Tim.
I noticed there's writers like Lennon McCartney. They write pop songs. There's writers like Cole Porter or Elvis Costello who really like wordplay, and then there's people like Dylan who just blurt out stream of consciousness stuff. That's great. But yours seems to tell short stories, and I noticed that your music has been called American short story folk. What's that mean?
Well, I like to think of a song as having a beginning, a middle, and an end, as if you're having a conversation in a cohesive way. So you have an introduction to the topic in the first verse, and then goes to the chorus, builds, and then concludes, has a conclusion which, you know, it has cohesion. And, you know, I think it is about telling stories, but I think in a sense it's also the way a lot of songs have been written. I mean, a lot of, you know, country songs, pop songs, you know, are written in with that idea too, that you are telling a story. And the idea is you're having a conversation with a friend and you want to get all the facts across in 3 minutes or less.
Jenny danced as a child like a holy roller to an angel choir, pirouetting right after school, just until dinner. That was a rule in a world out of balance. Jenny learned to dance. Jenny slept in her small bed while her folks fought over her head. She would be dreaming in three-quarter time, learning to turn, stop on a dime in a world out of balance. Jenny learned to dance. Fly away, away from this dark house. Fly away, away from this dark house. Fly away from this dark house. Jenny wasn't listening when her mother said, "Your dad is leaving, good riddance to him." She was trying on her toe shoes and tying them so they wouldn't come loose in a world out of balance. Jenny learned to dance. Fly away from this dark house. Fly away from this dark house. Fly away from this dark house. Jenny danced as a child like a holy roller to an angel choir. In a little white church, in a little white church, boy and a girl gonna change the world. Gonna when the world won't listen anymore. In a red, red dress, in a red, red dress, the night that she met him, her dreams were wearing thin. A summer night when the air was tight and hot against her skin. In a red, red dress, she kissed him. The stars shining bright as tin. Cans and string tied to a bumper swing. Down a dusty road, there's a little white church where prayers are heard when the world won't listen anymore. In a hotel room, in a hotel room, bride and a groom, in a hotel room, wondering how they ever found each other on this earth. There's a little white church where prayers are heard. A little white church where prayers are heard. There's a little white church where prayers are heard. When the world won't listen. When the world won't listen. When the world won't listen anymore.
What was it like having Peter, Paul, and Mary record your song, Jesus on the Wire?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was amazing.
Now, how did that come about even?
The way it happened was I had, this is right when I recorded my first CD, which was in 2000, 2001, and I sent the song to a contest that Noel Paul Stuckey has every couple of years through his public domain foundation, which focuses on social causes. And I sent it in, and it wasn't one of the winners, and it wasn't even one of the finalists. And then about 4 months after the contest ended, I got an email from him, and it was all in, lower caps, and it said, "Hi, I'm the tall balding guy in the middle of Peter, Paul, and Mary, and we love your song. Can we perform it?" And, I was
Wow.
like, "Yeah, whatever, dude."
Yeah. Another one of those emails.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess so. So, I was totally, taken back by that, and, totally amazed. And they started performing it, and they recorded it in 2004, and then they featured it in their documentary, their career, documentary, which was on PBS, and then they released it this past March again on a new album, which is dedicated to the memory of Mary Travers, and the song was recorded with the Prague Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very honored by the fact that, this is one of the songs that she selected to be, that she felt strongly enough to be considered as part of her legacy or their legacy.
Run down church, red cloud. river covered in a smoky haze. Sunday morning, the fire's out. Sunday morning, no one about. The earth gets soft this time of year. Boots get caked from there to here. Down the road, Route 25, they found this boy barely alive. Jesus is on the wire, so far away, higher and higher. Took him down off a fence, cold as ice, almost dead. They said that he slept with guys. They said that he was gonna die. Jesus is on the wire, so far away, higher and higher. Jesus is on the wire, so far away, higher and higher. Sometimes at night you hear the sound of cars that stop where he was found. A small white cross, Wyoming skies mark the place where that boy died. Jesus is on the wire, so far away, higher and higher. Jesus is on the wire, so far away, higher and higher.
Most of the songs you're performing on the show were from your second album, Chickasaw.
Right.
But I was struck by Do Your Best for Rock and
Oh,
Roll.
yeah. Isn't that a great song?
Oh, gosh.
That's going to be on the new EP, which will be out in spring of 2011.
So the question is, when's that coming out? I guess we just answered that one, but that's, yeah, it was funny because I was taken aback with it. Sounded kind of like one of the things that I grew up on was Patsy Cline's.
Oh, that was one of my mother's favorites too.
And I loved that, and I was thinking, the sentiment behind it is almost like Schopenhauer sitting down with Patsy Cline and having a beer and talking about the universe instead of, you know, typical country western things. But that song was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a Linda Thompson song, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Linda
Wasn't aware
Thompson
of
song.
that.
Yes, and I don't do a lot of covers, but
Yeah.
it's a song that I was really, you know, really just fell in love with. There's some songs that you just vibrate to, and that was one of the songs that few songs that I cover,
Yeah.
and I loved the song, so.
You own that song now.
Thank
That
you.
came out.
Oh, I feel no pain, but I'm so dry. Take me to a bar, leave me there to die. The party's almost over, the guests are all but dead, and take 'em to a graveyard, lay 'em down instead. God, if there is a God, save my soul. And if you can't do that, then do your best for rock and roll. We've lived a lot of years, almost every place. There's a chance that I might miss you. It's a chance I'll have to take. So grind me down like glass, crush my heart, and turn it into junk. Recycle the good parts. And God, if there is a God, save my soul. And if you can't do that, then do your best for rock and roll. Mother Jesus, show me a light divine. And if you can't do that, give me some holy wine. God, if there's a God, save my soul. And if you can't do that, then do your best for rock and roll. And if you can't do that, then do your best for rock and roll. Well, I'm fixing a hole where the rain gets in and stops my mind from wandering where it will go. And when my mind is wandering, there it will go. And it really doesn't matter if I'm wrong or right, if I am right where I belong. Silly people standing there who disagree and never win, wonder why they can't get through my door. Well, I'm painting the room in a colorful way, and when my mind is wandering, there it will go. And it really doesn't matter if I'm wrong or right, if I am right where I belong. Silly people standing there who disagree and never win, wonder why they can't get through my door. I'm fixing a hole where the rain gets in and stops my mind from wandering. Where it will go, where it will go, where it will go.
Well, I'd like to ask you what music has influenced you, and we will, but what short story writers have influenced you, if any?
Well, I loved Edgar Allan Poe when I was a kid. I read Carson McCullers. These weren't short stories, but I loved Charles Dickens. I read everything by Charles Dickens. I read things I probably wasn't supposed to read by, John Updike, but which I loved. I mean, I read those stories when I was a kid. So, I mean, all of these things kind of converged, and Flannery O'Connor. Just a lot of I read. I was an obsessive little bookworm when I was a kid. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's great. It shows in your writing. The stories are great. They definitely have, they're in 3 parts. I loved listening to them and thinking about the lyrics.
Thank you.
But let's talk about the music. What kind of music has influenced you?
Well, I would say the first music that I listened to was my mother's music collection, which was a lot of musicals. She was a huge, she loved musicals. So Carousel was one that was very popular. I mean, I loved Richard Rodgers when I was a little girl. I mean, I loved his writing, and his songs really stuck with me. And South Pacific, King and I, all of these, West Side Story. I mean, I was really very, very much taken by, not that I'm writing for musicals, but I was very much taken by the whole idea of telling stories with songs or moments with songs. And I think that really, really stayed with me. I mean, very much.
And how about later on in life?
That's all I ever listened to, Tim. I'm
As
sorry.
a teenager, so you were
was
pulled
musicals.
out. It was musicals.
It was musicals.
You
I
took your
listened to
friends to
musicals.
musicals.
That's
okay.
right, no.
Okay. Nothing when you were from your
Nothing. That was the only
teenage
thing
years.
I ever listened to. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a radio?
No, I didn't listen to a radio. I would just take 2 sticks and bang them together and then try to. No, I listened to lots of other kids. I was influenced by the Beatles, and I was influenced by rock and pop, and Bob Dylan, obviously. Even if you didn't listen to him that much as a teenager, which I didn't, but
I didn't either.
but I think that influence was in the music, so you're still being fed that. And I was a big Joni Mitchell fan, and Leonard Cohen. That's another. He was actually I would say quite an influence when I was a teenager. I read his short stories. I had all his poetry book. I mean, I was a huge Leonard Cohen fan. as a teenager, and so those things influenced me.
Wow. Yeah, it shows.
And I started writing poetry when I was, 8 years old, and
Which actually leads me to the next question. So when did you start playing music?
I played violin when I was a kid, and I loved doing that, but then I reached that point in my adolescence where I thought I looked like too much of a geek,
Yeah.
And so I played viola too, and I was like in the all-city orchestra, and I had my private, weekly violin lessons, and I did love it, and I regret having not continued with it. But so I got away from music, and that was really my main musical influence when I was as far as actively playing violin. And then I didn't start playing guitar until I was in my early 20s, and I didn't really think about picking it up. But then, there was something that happened in my life, and I kind of reached for a way to express myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a slightly late bloomer.
I was, and then I went to Berkeley when I was, in my mid-20s, and then I got away from it and came back to it, basically 10 years ago. And I had to relearn guitar, and I studied with this great teacher, John Curtis, and, so it was kind of a thing that I put aside, I wanted to pursue, but then I put it aside for practical reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't think practical is really the best path for people that have something creative pulling at them.
How has the internet changed your career or affected your career? Because
I hate the internet.
Oh, you do?
I do. I hate the internet.
I kind of do too, but on the other hand, it's hard to ignore it because that's how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I think it ends up eating up so much of your time. It's like, I think about it now as, kind of like the lost years, because it's like you can spend so much time on the internet and be so distracted. And it seems like such a good idea at the time to just like click onto some other website and check this out, and it's just like one distraction, kind of cobbled onto one other distraction after another, and it's like, and then before you know it, the entire day is gone. So
yeah,
I hate the internet.
My friend Kerry refers to it as the rabbit hole.
It is the rabbit hole. That's right, and that's it. You're gone forever.
And you don't get anything done because
no, but I mean, it is. On the plus side, though, I mean, it's great because you can connect with people from all over the world, which I have, as lots of musicians have, and with their music, and so it's an opportunity to make connections in ways that you wouldn't. It's a different form of communication. But I'm kind of a privacy person. I feel like TMI. It's just TMI. It's like I had this experience a couple weeks ago. I was trying to contact this booking person, and so I looked online. I'm thinking, I gotta find out some information. Find out, are they still at this place? Blah blah blah. So I go to their MySpace page, and you look at their blog, and they're telling you the most personal things. I mean, they're things that you might share with your best friend.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I know so much more about this person than I ever really wanted to know. Yeah. And I get this person on the phone, and their response, they're like the rudest person you'd ever want to speak to from the moment you get them on the phone. And I'm thinking, you don't really have many friends, do you? No wonder you have a blog.
Yes, and you have lots of time to write.
You have a lot of time to write, don't you?
What inspired the title track of your last album, Chickasaw?
What inspired it was I fall in love with words. And so when I fall in love with a word or a phrase, it can even be a phrase, then my imagination will just kind of take over. And so I just kind of conceived of this story, and it just kind of developed around that word.
She was reckless as the summer sun, full of heat, her hair undone. She had a ticket and she had a gun, going down to Chickasaw. fire. Wind pulling the trees and wires. She was shaking with one desire, going down to Chickasaw. Old squaw said, do not go. I see his blood on your shadow. Down in Chickasaw. She kept hearing the last words he said, buzzing, buzzing inside her head. Found someone else to fill my bed. Down in Chickasaw. He never saw her run across the sand. He'd never heard the screen door slam. He never saw the gun in her hand. Down in Chickasaw. Down in Chickasaw. Down in Chickasaw. Lilac sky
And everything went well in the shoot. I mean, it was kind of hectic at first.
It was hectic. It was fun though,
but it was
and I
fun,
love the
yeah.
backdrop that you created for
Yeah,
that.
that was
It was
nice.
great.
We
You know.
actually plugged in a gobo. Leroy actually climbed up there.
Oh,
he
thank
did a
you,
good job.
Leroy.
Yes, thank you, Leroy. Anything else you want to talk about, you think?
Let's see. People can check out my website.
Yeah.
You know, it's theahopkins.com and MySpace. You know, I'm on myspace.com. You know, /Thea Hopkins. Facebook, Twitter. You know,
Everything.
I hate the internet, don't I?
I know, yeah, but you have to do it, so you do it. And I noticed I could find it on downloads, at least on iTunes and Amazon, and I guess
CD
every place,
Baby.
CD Baby, yeah.
Yep.
And that where would they go for an actual audio CD, which always sounds better to me than MP3s.
Well, you can order it through CD Baby.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh,
Yep.
that's true. Yeah, CD Baby does the CDs too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's cdbaby.com. So, wow, that'd be great. Well, thank you for going through all this.
Well, thank you, Tim, for inviting me to
You're
be on
welcome.
your first
You're
show.
welcome.
It's very exciting.
It was a great show, and you did a great
Well,
job.
you did a fantastic job
And
organizing everything.
thank
You really did.
Thank you.
There's-
I have to tell you, though, the same thing happened the first time I met Thea. We were doing a film shoot down at the Midway Cafe, and it was an all-acoustic thing with no PA system or anything.
That was a
And
few years ago
That was
now.
a few years ago,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was so worried about getting everything done and everything working, and when you started singing and playing, you kind of forget I'm supposed to be on the job right now. I'm just starting to listen. And the same thing happened to everybody in the control room at BNN. They were Barbara, who was directing, was shouting out all the orders to the camera people. But then it got to the point where everybody was just like this, looking at the monitors and listening to you.
Oh, that's
it was
nice.
Just, it was so beautiful.
Well,
so thank you.
It was great, and everybody, it was really wonderful. Everybody at BNN just did a great job, and they were really helpful.
Yeah, they really
and
did. They
it's
were
wonderful.
a great crew. They really came together for us. So thank you for coming.
Well,
and
thank
I hope to
you.
see you again soon.
Likewise.
Okay, thanks.
I walk in the sun, and I walk in the rain, and I'm used to cutting out before I feel pain. And I've walked alone for many a mile, and I do it all again just to see your smile. Say you will, say you will, say you will be mine. And many storms have come, and many storms have passed, and times I turn my head to cry, and times I'd have to laugh. And times I turn my back and simply say goodbye to things I thought would never end, things that never die. Say you will, say you will, say you will be mine. Say you will, say you will,
Well, we hope you enjoyed Thea Hopkins and Andy Hollinger as much as we did here at BNN. Keep your eyes open for the next transmission hour, where we'll bring you more of Boston's best music. Until then, I'm your host, Tim Casey. Thanks for tuning in, and keep watching the skies.
Buddy caught out a Cherry Creek, only been back 1 week when Buddy broke down, stole some cash, put it in his pocket real fast. Buddy heard the cop cars whine.